But now let's talk about what we all came to hear today, which is Young Bucks beat FTR in 28 minutes and 46 seconds to win the AEW tag titles. I got lots of questions. Twitter's got lots of questions. First of all, as you approach the match, as you're getting close, you said, I don't rehearse.
Yes.
The Young Bucks seem like they might be rehearsers. How did the planning of the match go?
The planning was probably not as structured as they would have liked, and probably more structured than I would have liked. But that's being a professional and meeting in the middle. I watched the match back today for the first time in years, and I was blown away with how much I loved it, how much I thought I loved the match. It was two different styles, and I wrote some notes down too. Coming out, they had on this beautiful gear with all these colors and flashy and, and tassels and everything. And they were wearing the Lakers colors. And coming out for us, we wore plain warm-up suits, white with basic colors on it. Right. And it was the Celtics. And that was a plan from the get-go. I'd called and, I talked to these guys and I said, look, people consider this the biggest tag team rivalry in wrestling right now. What do you guys think about? My first thought was we could do Brett and Sean gear, but I thought that was too much. I thought I'd taken it too far because people already connected the two of us, me and Cash, with Bret Hart and our work, the two of them with Sean. And so I said the biggest rivalry in sports is probably, I thought Carolina and Duke was the biggest rivalry in sports, but I thought that generalized it too much to one section of the country. Yeah. Right. So the next biggest one, in my opinion, was Celtics and Lakers, and we were all on board for that. I love the fact that we started off the match slow, because people and Young Bucks fans and AEW fans were probably used to their matches, which are a little more fast paced. But I felt this was the opportunity, especially with them coming out and having this edge to them or whatever. We needed to show the people that they, one, could be gritty, two, they could out wrestle us, and they could just keep up with us wrestling. Everyone knew they were going to out quick us. Everybody knew they were faster than us, but could they out wrestle us? So I love the fact that we used holds and we put the high spots in the perfect opportunity. But then when we got to the crescendo of the high spot, we brought it right back down and held it in a hold and slowed down to allow the people. Finally, we had 1,000 people. We got to have 1,000 people in the audience, and that meant so much to us. Like, coming from having nobody in the audience to having 1,000 people in a 10,000 seat amphitheater or whatever was like having a sold out Madison Square Garden. It was so emotional, which I'll talk about to the end. We had Tully Blanchard banned from ringside, and that was my idea because people had looked forward to this match for so long. They had looked forward to FTR versus the Young Bucks. And I felt that if Tully was out there, he would just be a distraction to the match. I think the people wanted to see these two entities go at it. And I felt if Tully was there, not any fault of his own, but just as people watching, he would be a distraction by the ring. You know what I mean? So that's why we had him banned. Again, like I told you earlier, super kicks versus super fists. And we had injured the ankle, and that was what we were going to. But I, injured my hand on the ring post, and they worked the shit out of my hand. Like, they were so aggressive, and I think that showed a different side of them that the AEW fans hadn't really seen before. They had seen how athletic these guys were and how impressive they both were at in their matches, but that showed a completely different side of them, and this edge they had built up meant something now because they went to work on my hand that was legit busted open. So we had gone from, this was the first time we'd actually had fans in the audience, back in the audience, and we had gone from completely having nobody there to having 1,000 fans, and those 1,000 fans sounded like a sold out Madison Square Garden. It was so beautiful. But in saying that and having the limited fans there, it was hard to determine our heat. It was hard to it was easy to shine these guys up because they're so incredible at what they do as far as athleticism goes and selling and stuff. But, as far as the heat goes, especially someone who doesn't really call a whole bunch of stuff, like it was hard to determine how they were feeling or when I needed to take them up or bring them down or keep them here. You know what I mean?
Because you call matches on the fly, you really depend on the crowd a lot, right?
Right. And, again, I have ideas and they know maybe where the ideas are, what the ideas are, but how we set them up when we decide to like the hope spots, for example, when I'm going to include them or put them in the point of the match, like it determines a lot on how the crowd's feeling and how they're reacting. And it's hard to do that in an environment like that. But I watched it today and I was very, very proud of the match. I loved it, man. But also on commentary, dude, I got to tell you, if you think that JR is out of touch, watch this match back. He was on fire. I mean, I commend Excalibur because he knows all the names of holds and he can keep up with the action, the pace, and he can nail all this stuff. And on the other end of that, JR was getting all of the emotion in, and he was telling the story that we wanted to be told. So was Excalibur. I'm not downgrading him or
Right.
or shortchanging him. I'm just saying for this match at least, I'm just talking about specifically this match, they were great dancing partners. And then Shivani's there and he's such a lovable character anyway. People are going to love what he brings and his enthusiasm. But the two styles of Excalibur and JR was just, they were both great dancing partners and they were both on fire.